And Sebastian, you're an experienced .NET mobile and blockchain developer. So really a lot of very current technologies, right? Disruptive technologies, like you say yourself. And you're also very involved with a local community in Argentina, such as, for example, the organizer of the .NET Virus meetup, and also regional events, for example, vOpen, Xamarin Assemble, and Age of Mobile. So today you're going to talk to us about NFTs, which is a hot topic, which I have to say I don't know much about. So I'm going to be very interested to hear what you have to say. So take it over and have a great session.
Okay, thanks, Laurent. Well, I'm very happy to be here sharing with you all about this technology. And well, we will start from scratch. So doesn't matter if you don't have any previous knowledge about this technology. So at first, I think that it's important to understand that we are maybe hearing a lot of stuff on NFT in the newspapers, in the news, and most of them are related with the numbers that they are moving. I mean, for example, CryptoKitties, that is one of the most popular use cases in the technology that is about kitties. I mean, cats that you can collect, and one cat. I mean, in the highest price, it was sold as $170,000 once. So if you are not surprised with that number, I can say that Chuck Dorsey, that is the Twitter creator, sell NFT using the first tweet ever written that was from himself, and it was sold as $2 million. And if you are not surprised with that number, we can mention that, for example, People, that is an artist, he created a 100% digital art piece, and it was sold at almost $70 million. So it's impressive. That numbers are very, very impressive. But what is the thing about NFT? I mean, it's something really new. It's something that it existed before. So let's discuss it. But first, we have to understand one specific component in the technology, that is blockchain. So we are going to start talking on blockchain. And at first, we have to say that blockchain is a technology that has almost 15 years. I mean, it was created in 2008, and well, we are 30 years right now. It was implemented in 2009, and it has a lot of characteristics. One of them is the security that is provided by the cryptography. And well, your accounts count with private key and public key, and this is something not really new for the time. I mean, before that, we have the digital signature, and it was something very used, and so it was not something very new for that time. But we can say that was an innovation because it added a couple of more specific attributes to that functionality. For example, you have also the distributed storage. I mean, not only storage but also computing. You have different nodes and computers all over the world. Every people that want to participate in the ecosystem could just be a member, just downloading the software and participating and running as a node. And when I say a node, I mean it's a computer that works with the blockchain software and also has a copy of all the transactions in the current ledger. So it was something new, maybe, but we have also a very, very good frameworks for and databases for distributed storage. For example, Azure Cosmos DB, as you know, is an excellent way to storage information, and you can distribute that information all over the world. You have different data centers in the world, you have a replication. So it was something new, that's true, but it's not something that you cannot find in other technologies. So we are still not surprised about what blockchain can do. Other thing that comes with blockchain is the tamper proof. Maybe this is interesting because we usually trust in different technologies. I mean, for example, if you use social networks, or if you have an account, an email account or whatever, you are not all the time thinking that you are going to be hacked, or maybe that the information was changed or modified. But what a blockchain ensures is that if the information is stored there, and couple of transactions happened before, you can be sure that information is not modified, and it is based in the technology. So that's interesting. I mean, it's not new. We have secure databases, we have secure networks, we have secure applications, but it's something interesting because a lot of people trust more in the technology, and in the as I mentioned, the security, and also the whole framework, and not only in people or companies, because most of the information and security in that use cases, as for example networks, are based in companies or people that works in the companies. We trust that people, that the information is not going to be changed. But in this case, everything is there, and the technology, I mean, all the framework provides us that trust. So I think that this is the very first point that we can say, okay, I'm interested in storing something in blockchain. So next thing is about the trust, and it is also based in the consensus, and it came from known problem that the distributed computing have in the past. That is the famous Byzantine fault, that it is related with having different participants, different parties in our project, and maybe you don't trust a member, or maybe you don't know the other people in the project, and you don't really know if the people is going to work well, or if they are going to do what they are saying that they are going to do. And sometimes it's very difficult to work with that, with this kind of projects, or with different people. But in blockchain, you can trust in the technology, and it doesn't matter who are the other people participating. I mean, I can transact, I can send an NFT, I can send cryptocurrency, I can send whatever in the blockchain, and it doesn't matter who the other people is, because it is going to be secured by the technology. So that's a very, very strong point, I think. And the consensus right now in the most popular blockchains are the proof of work. That is, I think, a point that is going to change in the next years. I mean, Ethereum as a platform is working in a new version of the platform, and they are working in a new consensus that is not based in the computer power, but in staking, and what the participants do in the network, and of course is something that is going to change the scalability and other characteristics in the platform. But right now we are basing all the trust in the computer network, and something very important to understand is that a hacker, for example, if they want to modify something in the blockchain, they have to invest a lot of money and time and computer, and it's not worth for them to attack the network since of this consensus. So it's very difficult to happen. There are no motivations to do it. So that's another strong point, that's why is very trustable, we can say. And this last point that I'm going to say is, to me, the most important one, because it's the decentralization. I think that this is the innovation point is very different from the other technologies, or from the other projects. And you are, I can say nobody is the owner of the information. And when I say nobody, maybe it's everybody, because all of the people that are participating in the network has a copy of all the transactions, all the information that is there, and is very trustable. It shows transparency. I mean, I can look all the transactions that are happening now. I can see which accounts are participating, which are their balances, what are they doing in the network. I cannot match an account with a person or people. It depends on the platform, but it doesn't matter because everybody is the owner of the information, and it's very different from the other projects. As I mentioned, for example, social networks, that is very popular use case right now, something that we are using all the time. And the information is in data centers or servers that are in companies. I mean, they of course provide security and they are very trustable, but they have the information. If they have a problem in the data center or whatever, we cannot connect to the social networks, or we cannot use that projects for that day or that time that they are maybe having problems. And in this case, in blockchain, we have replicated applications all over the world. People can just add to the network, just downloading the software, and if one computer has specific problems, you can use another node, another computer. It is always working. It is totally open. I mean, nobody can say you cannot participate in this platform, and it's very interesting in that way. People feels owner of the information and of the project. They are very involved. I mean, if you want to participate, you just download and you can be a member, and you feel you are empowered as a real owner of the application. And that's very, very innovative, I think. And this is, to me, the key of blockchain as a technology, as a project, maybe as a global project, and not only cryptocurrency that maybe is something that is very used, but also NFT, for example, is very interesting because this specific concept. So if you take these all attributes, these features, and add the opportunity to execute code, small pieces of code, it's not necessarily a big deal, but specific and short piece of code, you will have smart contracts. And smart contracts are not something legal. I mean, it's something that is called like that because it's like an agreement between different parties. And as I mentioned, they don't have to trust each other. They just trust in the technology. So it's kind of contracts, but they are just software. We can code there and add some intelligence to the network. So that's why it's called smart contracts. We say that we upload code to the network, but we are not uploading the source code. We are uploading the bytecode that is the result of the compilation of the code. We are going to store bytes and not source code. It's something that we have to keep it in mind because when we'll see the examples in .NET, we are going to use that bytecode. So keep in mind that you are not storing the blockchain the whole source code, but the bytecode. Similar to .NET, when you compile and you have the bytecode, this is the same concept because each node has a virtual machine that is able to read that bytecode and, of course, execute that code for you. So there are different scenarios in the blockchain world. We can say we talk about cryptocurrencies, and well, we talk about maybe contracts. Maybe you want to create a contract to participate with other person, but one of the most used in the last year was the tokens. A token can be defined as a representation of an element that has a specific value in a context. For example, if I have a ticket to go to the cinema, if I want to go to a supermarket, for example, and pay with that ticket, it doesn't have a value because you can't use it there. It in that context has no value. But if you take the ticket and go to the cinema, you can use it and has value. So it depends on the context that we are. You have the value of this element. And of course, it's a representation of other thing. And in this case, with blockchain, we are going to represent other stuff. And well, the most used and popular use case is the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies are tokens, but also, for example, well, NFTs. And we are going to separate in two categories. I mean, there are a lot of categories. For example, if you use the token for utility, or if you want to have earnings, or if you want to invest or whatever. But we are going to separate in two categories that are the fungible and not fungible tokens. To understand the not fungible tokens, that are the NFTs, we have to understand first the fungible tokens. The fungibles are that ones that you can spend. It sounds like money, and well, cryptocurrencies are indeed a use case of this kind of tokens. But you can spend it, for example, if I have a pen, and the pen can be spent in the when you write, for example, maybe it can be considered fungible. You can spend it in the whole, or maybe just one part of. I mean, you can do a division in the fungible tokens, and of course, one important thing that is in the legal side, I can say, if you have a fungible token, you can replace it with other elements with the same attributes. I mean, for example, if I have keyboard and it is broken, I can replace it with other keyboard, and this is the same to me. So it can be maybe a fungible, because it doesn't matter if this keyboard has I don't know, some specific attributes, because I can get another one with the same characteristic, and it's going to be the same to me. So I can consider this keyboard as a fungible token. But for example, think on collections. Think of on things that you cannot spend. I mean, it's something that comes in a full package, I can say. And well, that's something not fungible. For example, art is something that is not fungible. You won't buy just one piece of an art, or maybe a building. You cannot buy just the door. You get the whole thing. So that's not fungible, and it's not replaceable. I mean, if I have a car that is very special to me, but other people has the same car, but they are not special for them, I can give more value to this specific object. So it depends on which object is, and who is owning this element. It can have different values, and it's very popular in art. As I mentioned, it's also used in sports. Imagine the collections of cars, collectible cars, or maybe with a signature of a player and that stuff. They are very valuable, and that's something that you cannot replace with other elements, because they are unique. They have an ID for each element, and well, they have a specific value for that. So we are now talking about NFT, and how .NET help us to communicate with this NFT? Well, we have an open source project that is called Ethereum. Well, you can find it in GitHub. It's very interesting, because it allows us to communicate from the .NET side to the smart contract side. And for example, well, is something that it works with both of the .NET components. So if you work with console applications, if you work with web applications, if you work with mobile applications or whatever, you can communicate with smart contracts and get information and send information also. And it's very important. And of course, you can install, you can find it in NeoGet too. So the idea is to understand how we can easy create one of these NFTs. We're going to do a short demonstration. I can show you how to do it. as you can see, we are using for this specific case Visual Studio Code. I recommend you to pay attention and then maybe try it yourself in another time, because I'm going to show a lot of stuff and maybe it's a very short time. So pay attention, and then I can provide you the links and whatever you need to follow these steps. So this is a typical Solidity, that is the language application. I'm using Truffle for this case, and I just created a contract. As you can see, the contract is very simple, and you have I have no code there because I'm using inheritance to have a template for the NFT that is represented by a standard that is the 721. And I'm using Open Zeppelin, that is a library that provides for us the implementation of this standard. And I just use that template to create a contract. I didn't add any additional code for that. And when you have the contract, you can use Solidity extension that was created by Juan Blanco. You can find it in the in Visual Studio Code, and with this extension, you can compile this specific contract in order to create .NET classes. So if you see here, I just access and you have an option that says compile and code generate C# elements. And well, I created a couple of classes, and one of them is the definition of the contract, and one of them is the service. The definition is the contract itself, and it will provide you all the features that you have you need to interact with the contract, and the service is more related with the deployment and that stuff. And I prepared a short demonstration. As you can see, I have here console application. I connect to a blockchain. I'm not using a mainnet because I'm showing you the private key, but it doesn't matter because I'm using a local blockchain that is called Ganache. As you can see, is just to test. It's a replication of a blockchain. I mean, it's not a real blockchain. It works locally, and you have a lot of accounts, and you can play with that. You can just press here and get the private keys. So in order to connect to the blockchain, I just created the connection using Ethereum. It's very simple. As you can see, I added the references to the generated pieces in .NET, and well, after that, I provided the information of the account, then provided the URL of the blockchain. Then this line is important because Ganache, for example, has a previous version of the network. I'm talking about Ethereum. Ethereum have a change in the last couple of months that well, it's the London fork, and Ganache is not prepared yet for that change. So I have to set this attribute in true, so I can connect with this version of the network. If you are using a new one, it's not necessary to add that line. And then I just create an instance of the object that was provided by the plugin in the Visual Studio Code, and then just call the deployment method, and that's all. I mean, it's very simple. I'm going to run it, and as you can see, I just run the console application. I had an address for the NFT. The NFT is there, and can check it here in the contract side. Sorry, in the transaction tab, and is there. This is the creation, and the NFT is there. I mean, it's totally functional. I can use it. I can create and mint new tokens. I can transfer. I can do whatever I want, and it's very simple. You can use this template, or you can indeed look for more templates and implementation of NFTs, and of course, I recommend you to learn more on Solidity, because with Solidity, you are going to generate the bytecode, and the bytecode is going to be used here, as you can say. That remember, I mentioned the bytecode. The bytecode is there. Is what you generate with Solidity, and then you can use .NET to connect with this smart contract. So I recommend you to learn the basics in Solidity so you can create the NFT, and then that's all. I mean, in a couple of minutes, I have an NFT in the network and it's totally functional. So it's very important to use. And then it's very easy to interact because if you have, for example, a mobile application, console, web application, and you are a .NET developer, it's very important to know, and it's very easy. Okay, let's continue. I going to do a couple of recommendations. At first, well, some use cases that you can use for NFT collectibles is very intuitive. Is something that is very used and is something that existed before blockchain. I mean, it's not something new. People collected cards and that stuff before blockchain, but that's why it's very innovative, because of the decentralization, the trust, and the consensus, and that stuff. I think that is something that helps to represent that owning of maybe a digital object in the internet or wherever. Sports, it's very also something you are going to find an NBA Top Shot, for example, and other stuff that you can own videos and players and that stuff, and you can transfer. It's very interesting. Also in arts, as I mentioned, people to take a big sell there, but you can of course, if you are an artist, is very interesting for you, maybe create NFTs for your art, and then you can show and interact with people and go for an action or whatever, and it's very interesting, a new scenario for artists. And also in gaming is very used right now. You have not only CryptoKitties, but a lot of stuff where you get new playable characters and that stuff, and of course you can transfer and play and that stuff. Very used right now. I think that in the next months we are going to see a lot of gaming projects in production. So couple of recommendations. If you want to learn more on Ethereum, I recommend these links. Of course, the documentation and the GitHub page is something that helps a lot to understand and to getting started with the technology, but also I recommend the second link, that is the Ethereum Playground. That is an online tool where you can code. I mean, you have all the information there to connect to a blockchain and reproduce some specific scenarios. For example, check a balance, deploy a contract, interact with the token, and that stuff. They are all created, and you have the node to play with that. So I really recommend, because you have not to install anything. You can use it online, and well, of course, it's very helpful. So that's all for me. Thanks for joining, and well, I'm very happy to participate in this conference. I don't know if there is any question, something that you want to share.